Hello, friends, and welcome to Virtual Strangers 44. I'm your host, West. With me, as always, my good friend Roots. Roots, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. I was just thinking 44 or 8 episodes away from a year. Can you believe it? I was looking at the,
44.
you know, yeah, 40, 44, 52.
52. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got me second guessing it, but I was thinking, man, have we really been doing this that long? And time is just flying, man. That's crazy.
That's the thing about VR, right? It's like the days just tick off like hours now, man, because I mean, we're both, we both work full time. We have other responsibilities other than the channel, but between the work and the personal relationships and the channel and playing VR, it's just time. It just goes, right?
Yeah, actually, it's funny because I was going into touring carts the other night with Scion again, and I went to look at my recent, and I saw it'd been 2 months, and I was like, nah, it's because I was trying to decide which copy to go with, either the Steam copy or the Oculus copy, and I couldn't remember which one he had, and I asked him, I said, that can't be right, and he said, no, dude, it's been like a couple months, and I thought, oh my God, because he said it's been 17 days since we finished Stormland, and it felt like it was a couple days ago. I don't know what the hell is going on. My time is just flying by. And
It's the quickening, Roots. The quickening has taken hold.
well, at least we're at the beginning of VR, so that the quickening will fly us by, and we'll be in the bulk of all these amazing games, and it'll feel like it's only been a couple weeks. So maybe.
Ah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the bright side, isn't it? PS5 will be out tomorrow. Before you know it, PSVR 2 will be here. And then the ball will be back in Oculus's court.
You know what I'm excited for is tomorrow. No, maybe not tomorrow, but 2 weeks from now, when Nine Inch Nails and Tool is in the wave. By this logic, it's going to be next week almost. I want to see some legit mainstream artists in there, because the ones that I'm already seeing are so amazing. I can't imagine music that I've grown up with.
You know what I can't wait for?
Hmm.
I can't wait for the end of this episode, because at the conclusion of our live premiere, you and I and any of you out there who want to tag along, we're all going to go into the wave. There's two separate artists performing tonight. I don't know what their names are. I forget. One of them was that DJ Scott Marshall, I think, is the first one. And then the second one is another one that everyone said has these mind-blowing visuals. So those of you who haven't checked out the wave yet, we just covered it on this past week's Monday show. Check out our feature. And if you're watching this during the live premiere now, directly after this episode ends, go into the wave. Roots and I will be in there. Hopefully some other people will be in there. I'm sure a lot of people who aren't even in our community are going to be in there. And man, it's a blast, right?
Yeah, because when we were asking the people yesterday, we were in there, we asked them which was the most visual artist, and they said, dude, this Saturday night, that's the guy. You got to check him out. And like you said, it's the second show. I don't know, man. I had so much fun, and we had a couple people stop by, Meppers and Radio Runt, and it was just cool to, we went in there just checking it out, hanging out, and people just dropping by that I knew, and I look over and I see people's names that I know, and it just was such a good time. And like you were saying in the Discord, that it's kind of becoming our place to hang out, right? We're taking it over.
Yeah, everybody always has their social spot in VR. Some people like to VR chat, other people like Rec Room, other people like Alt Space, but we never really had our space. I never really got into the whole social VR thing. But man, the wave is just so cool. I can't stay out of it.
Yeah.
And I've got my wife over here lamenting the fact that it's not on Quest and it's not on PSVR, so she can't go in with me. But man, it's so awesome. Hopefully they do expand and port it into some other platforms soon.
At least Quest, that's the thing that blows me away. At least keep it on the Oculus platform, because it's such a good thing that I think the Quest would benefit from. And more people in there, and I know a lot of people that are in there are diehard fans. It keeps blowing me away every time I go in there. People are just, that's all they do, man. They're like, man, this is my favorite game. And I want to say, first off, this isn't a game, brah. What about Boneworks, dude? What about Saints and Sinners? And none of them even know what the hell I'm talking about. Most of them, anyway. But like you said, it's really cool to see that there's a completely different market for these people in VR that just aren't even interested in games at all. And this is their jam. And it opened my eyes because I thought everybody was playing the games. And so far, just from the people I've talked to, I'd say most of them aren't, at least the ones that I've ran into. So.
Yeah, it's a whole different ecosphere in there. Since we've recorded the Monday show, we've experienced some other aspects of the wave that we weren't aware of at the time. We reported on the wave as if it were this platform to see these pre-recorded musical performances from artists. But since then, we've seen this completely other side where these local artists, we'll call them, smaller DJs, throw these parties. They call them waves, and it's pretty much a virtual rave. And we went in, and they were having one of these on Wednesday night, and we went into this small dome-like room, and this DJ about 5 minutes later comes in and talks to the people that are there. There were probably about 10 of us, 15 to start out with, and all of a sudden he starts playing music at the DJ table, and for the first few minutes that's all that was going on was just the music. And I was like, this is it, this is what everyone keeps talking about. And then before you know it, the entire dome just disappears and these crazy visuals start, and there's this big Garfield looking monster staring down and looking like it's about to eat me. And as the night went on, the visuals got trippier and trippier. More people showed up. More and more came in. Even like Ruuts said, a couple of people from our community, Mark P. and Radio Runt, showed up for a little while. And by the time it was all said and done, we were in there, almost 2 hours?
Yeah, every time I go in there, I think I'm going to go in for just a little bit. And then a couple hours go by. And it's not only the raves, the music and stuff, but all the toys that you're playing with, that you're sharing with. And, the shared globes, I showed Radio Runt one and the fish one, and we were blown away. And, what's cool about it is you see it and the other person sees it, but nobody else sees it. And so you're doing all this weird stuff. You're dancing and people just see you dance and they don't see what the hell you're doing in there. And it's such a weird thing to do. And, I don't know. Hopefully everybody will come join us, because the more people, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And what Ruuts was saying about the people in there is absolutely true. These people, most of them are not gamers. I mean, they have VR. Some of them we talked to even bought their VR headset just so that they can go to the wave. But most of them, they're just into VR for social applications and art. And it's a completely different type of VR user. It really opens up your eyes to the big picture, because, I mean, some of these people don't even know what Boneworks is. Some of them don't know what Saints and Sinners is, literally.
Yeah, they didn't know that Saints, they're like, that's in VR? I'm like, dude, you're in VR and you don't know that? It just blows you away, or at least it did for me. And it was just it was a good eye-opener for me to see that there's a lot of people that are doing other stuff and they just aren't aware. And they need to start playing some games, Wes. So
yeah. Well, I mean, completely different people. I mean, these people are so different that we actually met someone in there. Not only did she buy her headset just to play the wave, but she bought a Vive Cosmos, and she was loving it. I was going to say that a second ago. I felt so bad because she said, yeah, I literally bought my new headset because I love this so much. And I said, oh, which headset you get? And she said, Vive Cosmos. And I said, oh. And then Wes laughed a little bit. And and I was like, oh, that's cool, and we both just kind of played it off because I didn't want to shit on her headset because she was so excited about it. Yeah, I wanted to rip on it, but yeah. Well, in all honesty, though, if all you're going to do is the wave, I would imagine that a Cosmos is probably good enough for that stuff, right?
Yeah, when you got the bright lights for the rave, you can.
Yeah, it's like having virtual glow sticks, right?
Yeah, but no, I mean it was funny because someone else mentioned it, and we mentioned it later after the girl was gone, and the other person was like, "Really? Someone bought the Cosmos?" I'm surprised every time I hear it, but it just goes to show you there's enough people that all they know is Vive, and that's what the Vive has out there right now, and so they just get it, thinking it's the best one out there because Vive is the best, right? And they haven't heard the news that Vive sucks. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinner is a VR game, and yeah.
You know, as bad as you feel for someone like that, which I guess we really shouldn't feel bad for. She was perfectly happy. I mean, she was more than perfectly happy. She was very happy. But I felt more sorry for these people because the only games that they had played, most of them was Beat Saber.
RoboCop.
And I just wanted to be like,
yeah,
you know, these people would love something like Pistol Whip, right? Because, you know, they're all about the rhythm. They're all about the colorful environments. A game like Pistol Whip would be perfect for them. And I guess that's where we should pick up and start the show at this week, right?
yeah.
Because just a couple of days ago, Pistol Whip, just out of nowhere, dropped another free track on us. This is the 12th track for Pistol Whip now, titled Akuma, also from Cannabalin Records. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Cannabalin Records. Just this past month, they had released their 11th track, the High Priestess track. So here we are, Roots, a month later, getting another track. And not only are they giving us this new track, but they've already said that they are going to give us monthly updates, all of which include a new level, all the way through E3 in June. So, Roots, I mean, I know you remember back when we first reviewed Pistol Whip, our only complaint was that it needed more tracks. And man, they're kind of going above and beyond here, aren't they?
Yeah, it's actually really cool. Although, you know, I know Alex said in the Discord, and I kind of agree. I want to see a new level, actual level versus, you know, new tracks, new guys. I want to see new environments, and so forth. But it is good that
every track has its own new level that comes with it. It is a new level.
Well, no, but I mean, it's the same. You know what I mean? It's the same.
It's the same game.
Yeah, but I mean, isn't it the same like area, location wise or whatever? It doesn't look that. I mean, it looks. I don't know. Maybe it's just the very similar backgrounds or whatever. But I was just hoping for something a little bit different. But I mean, it looks the same to me. But except for where the guys are coming out. But it's been a long time since I've been in there. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that every song has its own distinct level that goes with it. Yeah. So, but yeah, I played it. I played all the way through it. Honestly, I thought that people are probably going to think it's kind of easy because generally I'm not the best Pistol Whip player in the world, and I played through it, you know, on my second try. I only died once on it with no modifiers, normal difficulty, and made it to the end on my second try. But I had a lot of fun doing it, and it was one of those deals where I had forgotten how fun this game actually is because I've been so distracted playing other, you know, story-driven type games that I've forgotten just how fun it is just to get in and play something like that.
Yeah, just jump in, play a couple songs, jump back out or whatever, right? It's one of those ones you can just do that and not have to you can spend as little or as much time as you want, really.
Yeah, it's one of those palate cleanser type games, to be honest, the way I treat it. It's something you can pick up easily, go through quickly. The levels are short. They're very short if you suck.
Yeah.
So, it was a blast. And, you know, honestly, I'm kind of blown away. When I said I wanted more tracks for it, I honestly didn't expect more than maybe 2 or 3, you know, free tracks. And then I expected the paid DLC to come in, but they've promised us a new track monthly through midsummer, which I think is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, they did release with, you know, a limited amount of songs, so it's good that they're doing exactly what they promised and what people wanted. Because I think if they would have just left the game as it was, or even with just this and the last couple, that just not isn't enough. But like you said, giving us more each month is cool.
Yeah, I think it's outstanding. I think that's going to leave us right about 17 tracks by the time E3 hits. What do you think about that? Why do you think that they decided to do this through E3 specifically?
I don't know. It makes you sound like, or it sounds like they're going to do some kind of an announcement at E3, right? Or something.
Well, I mean, you would think so. And, I know Alex was speculating that it might be that they were going to announce their PSVR release. But it seems kind of strange because, Sony doesn't attend E3. They're not attending E3 this year. And you would think that with the current state of PlayStation VR, that Sony would probably very appreciative to be able to announce something like that during a state of play.
Yeah, for sure.
Which that may end up being what happens. They said that they were going to release monthly through E3 2020. There may be a state of play that very week that announces the PlayStation VR version.
Yeah, this will be a good game for the PlayStation VR, right?
Yeah, man, because the tracking issues that people seem to love to keep mentioning with the Move controllers should not be the least bit of an issue with a game like this.
Yeah, it'll be perfect. It'll be kind of like Blood and Truth, except for you're just moving. You don't have to go node to node, and you're just shooting. Perfect.
Right. No thumbstick needed. 180 controller tracking is perfectly fine with this. Yeah, I got to imagine that the PlayStation version probably will look close to identical to the PC version. So yeah, I think this is a great, going to be a great addition to the PSVR library. It's just a shame that they have to wait on it. They could really use a game right now,
Yeah, it's kind of like the MO for them though. They pretty much have to wait for everything a little bit longer, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's been the case since day one. Used to, it would be a year, like literally something would come out on PC, then you'd have to wait a year before you get it on PlayStation VR. So hopefully they won't have to wait that long for it.
Yeah.
Because when did this game come out? November?
Yeah, it's only been out a few months, so.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to mention it because this is one of the best games in VR right now. I did try the new level out. It was a ton of fun. The new track, Akuma, features a background level inspired by cyberpunk Japan and the Neo Tokyo depicted in anime classics like Akira and Ghost in a Shell. So, see, Roots, this is a custom-made level for the song, just like all the other ones,
but
as far as I know.
The skins is what's custom. Is the actual levels, like they all seem to have like the subway going down and like the same thing. I mean, like I said, I'm probably completely wrong. It's been a while since I've been in, but I could have sworn they all look very similar. The skins, the colors, and the that type of stuff absolutely is different. And as I'm looking at all the areas where they pop out and then where they're coming down, where they're going down in the ground, it just all looks the same to me anyway.
Oh yeah, well that's true. They all are very similar, the levels. I won't dispute that at all.
No, and it's just I want something. I want to see something different too. And even if they didn't, it's still amazing. It's just that's when I'm looking for something new. I want something completely new where I'm looking at completely different areas as well as the skins and the people and stuff. But I'll take what I can get. Obviously it's not made for Roots, so.
I guess not. Yeah. I guess it's Audica or nothing for Roots, huh?
Nah, it's got to be Audica. But nah. So I'll go back into this one. I just didn't I didn't have time to do it yet today, so.
Yeah, well, honestly, I didn't. Honestly, when I went into it earlier today, I thought that it was going to end up being like High Priestess. And what I did for that is I put in like 15 or 20 minutes of practice on it. And when I couldn't beat it, straight away, I went into the modifiers and turned off the enemy gunfire so that I could make it all the way through
Mm.
and see the whole level before the show. I thought that I was going to have to do that for this, but it turned out that I just beat the level and went on. I was in the game maybe 10 minutes total from the time I put my headset on to the time I took it off.
I usually it takes me like 5 or 6 times to beat it, but I just play it on Deadeye most of the time anymore, and that's probably why I didn't want to do it today, because it's a lot of work to do it on Deadeye. You know what I mean? It's a lot of firing. So
Right. Well, I don't play it on Deadeye. I just play it on normal with all the modifiers off and just take the generic out of the box pistol whip experience.
yeah, it works, right?
Yeah. When do you think we're going to start getting mods on this thing? I know people were talking about that when it first released, that you could really you could put mods in if they were the same tempo or something like that. And I haven't really seen or heard too much about modding this game.
I want a Matrix mod where every guy looks like Mr. Smith coming at me. That would be badass. But yeah, no, there's a lot of things they could do with the mods. I don't know, man. The modding community, there's just so many games out there that are being modded right now, and it's exciting because I think that it adds so much more to the games, things that the developers would love to do, they just don't have time to. So I love when developers leave it open to let people do that. So.
Yeah, well, maybe there's stuff out there that I don't know about it. If you're aware of any good pistol whip mods, be sure to let us know in the comments down below, or you can go down to the description, click on that link, and join us on our Discord. You can find us in there any day, every day, talking VR. So yeah, if you guys know of any good pistol whip mods and I'm just not in the loop, put me in the loop. Let me know. All right, Roots. That wasn't the only notable update we got this week. My favorite game ever, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, also came down with hot fix number 3. A massive update, Roots, with a laundry list of quality of life updates, bug fixes. I know that Jarilla was talking about he had a bug where his Guardian wasn't working properly. Apparently they fixed that. There's a couple of achievements that weren't working properly. I know one of them was Maybe You've Heard of Me, and what was the other one? I don't remember what the other one. There was a couple of achievements they fixed. All kinds of other things. They made the crouching feature default now, so you can physically crouch by default. For those of you who don't like it and would rather just have the original button crouching, you can disable physical crouching. And they added something called voice immersion. Roots, did you play around with the voice immersion at all?
I did not, actually. I did mess with the crouching, and I don't know why anybody would turn that crouching off, because you can do both anyway, like by default. Like sometimes I duck down, like when I was crouching trying to be quiet, and then other times when I wanted to look in a drawer and I didn't feel like crouching down, I just hit my button, and it lets you do both. But what it doesn't do is when you go to duck a little bit or look at something, it doesn't look all weird and shift all jacked up anymore. So they nailed that. But no, I didn't. I need to check out the other thing, because I didn't even really think about that, the noise or the sound thing, until you mentioned it. I did read that though. Did you check that out? Or
Yeah, I did actually. And it's just a minor thing, just something that they put in there to build your immersion. You can't use it in like dialogue spots. Like, it's not that you can talk to human characters and choose your dialogue choices by voice control, like I thought originally that it might be. This is more of a something that if you speak, you can hear like an echo. Like if you're in a tunnel or some kind of cave or in a house, you'll hear your own voice echo through the house. And that feature was actually present before, someone told me, but now the walkers can hear you. So if you get scared or upset or anything, and you say something and there's walkers around, they'll hear you and they're going to come after you.
It's weird. It's cool immersion wise, but at the same time, like I'm, the guy that's in the game. I named him Leroy, and I'm Leroy, and I'm doing my thing, but then Roots is talking and he's also drawing people, but then my character's talking. That was one of the things that I thought that threw me off, because like you said, you got the echo and inside buildings and stuff, right? Well, you go into a building and I'm reading a letter, and so the guy's reading the letter and it's echoing in the building, and I'm thinking, this is a narrated letter I'm reading. It shouldn't be echoing. You know what I mean? Because unless it's echoing in my head as I'm reading it, because you know what I'm saying? It's something that shouldn't be echoing, but I think that's kind of cool in some respect. I definitely would be, I don't know, I guess it would force you to be really quiet as you're walking around, right? Or if you're screwed.
Well, that's the idea. That's the idea.
What if you're recording? What if you're recording or streaming? Then you're fucked, man.
Well, that's when you go to the options and select off.
Well, no, but yeah, I guess. But I'm saying if you wanted to be a purist and leave it on for the recording, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the idea. Is if you were really in this situation and you really were that character, you'd have to be quiet. If you're going to make any noise, it's going to mean that they're on your ass. And that's kind of the idea behind it.
Okay. Yeah, sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it was a cool feature. I mean, nobody's asking for that. Nobody's doing anything like that in any other game. I mean, it's just another example of the kind of depth to the experience that makes this game so great. And really, I mean, it's gotten to the point, Roots, that my only real complaint with this game is I would like for it to be a bit bigger in scale. I'd like for the environments to be a little bigger. I'd like to have a little more area to explore. There's a whole lot of stuff that I can see but not go into, But besides that, I mean, I can't think of a better game in VR to date. I mean, honestly, from just a pure concept perspective, this is the most complete gameplay concept we've ever seen in VR.
Yeah, each one gets better than the next, Yeah.
Other than like a port, obviously something like Skyrim is a very complex and deep gameplay concept, but that's not built for VR. It's a port.
Yeah, and it's not. It isn't the best. Maybe it was at one point when there was nothing like it. Now it's not the best. It's not the best in flat game, and it's not the best in VR either. It's becoming what it is. It was a good game, and now it's slowly not as good as it used to be. So
yeah,
but
so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I already said it. I'm going to say it again. I think that I can officially say that this is my favorite game right now, Roots, and maybe over time I'll go back to my beloved Resident Evil 7, but I'm loving this game right now, Roots, and I'm still two-fisting the chocolate cake, and I can't seem to get sick of it.
Dude, I went into the chocolate cake today, and I realized it'd been like a week or something since I've been in Walking Dead, and I was like, holy shit, man, I need to get back into this cake, dude. It's been a while, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm not playing it every day either, but it's not because I'm playing other stuff. It's just I'm not playing VR every day. I've just been so busy with other stuff. I haven't really had time for VR, sadly.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway, a good game gets better, much like Pistol Whip. Two great VR games, two of the best that we have in VR, and two games that got better this last week. Two games that are coming soon to PlayStation VR, and can't come soon enough, right?
Yeah, and a Quest for this, right? What they say, Q3? That's crazy.
Yeah. Q2 for PSVR and Q3 for Oculus Quest. So if they pull that off, man, I think they might be the best VR game developers of all time.
I'd be surprised. Go ahead. I'd be surprised if they don't. you know.
Oh, is that right?
Well, just the way that they're from this track record of not from what they should be able to do, because every other developer, I would be surprised if they did, but with the way that they've been addressing everything and been so responsive, I think these devs are on it, and I think they're making a name for themselves, and I don't know, it's an exciting time.
Man, I would love to get my hands on just the beta build of this on Quest just to see. I'm just so curious of how this thing's going to turn out, because I mean, most of the quests that are out there, the entire storage on it is 64 gigabytes. Something like this, I mean, to come out on Quest, they would have to get this thing down to at least around 5 gigabytes, or else it's going to be too big.
Yeah. Ah, man, that space is still a problem for me. But yeah, I mean, because at some point, you'd want it to be double that just to make it that much better. But I mean, people forget 64 gigs isn't 64 gigs. I think it's like 11 gigs for the operating system or something. So you only get.
Well, the thing is, I mean, to this point, it really hasn't been an issue. The games are very small. Most of them less than a gigabyte. It's you almost never see one that's 2 gigabytes. I'm just speculating with a game like this. We've never had a game like this actually be on Quest.
Well,
so I'm curious how big it's going to be.
Well, and that's the thing. That's why I always get so triggered when people talk about space and stuff, and in such a flippish way. And and I remember when 512K, people are like, "Man, you'll never go past that, dude." And it just sounds so ridiculous now. That we're going ahead so fast that I just don't think 64 gigs a year or two from now we're already talking about games coming out that it's going to start, you're going to have to start doing the swapperoo, man. You're just going to be swapping shit off, I just don't like it. I just think they need to have a card, a slot, SD slot. Solve it.
I would agree with that. Yeah, that's really the bottom line, isn't it? That there should be some removable storage with the thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, because otherwise it just wouldn't even matter. Because why would you want to limit yourself to the size of the game just because you don't want it to be too big on your hard drive? That sucks. That's going to limit how good the game can be. So, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows how big?
I really don't understand the decision behind it now. I understood it I thought I understood it at first, because obviously if you allow removable storage, it opens up your device for modification and hacking and piracy, but they're allowing side loading on it.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess they could, if they wanted to, they could allow USB storage through the port. At some point, they could enable that. It's still a possibility.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, because those thumb drives are small, dude. Like, they plug in and you can't even tell that they're there. Hardly. Like, see, I had one right here. Never mind, it's gone. But I mean, these new thumb drives are so tiny that you can't even really tell that they're plugged in. So they would absolutely be small enough. You could just plug it right onto the side of your headset, and it wouldn't be any kind of a problem when you're playing.
Yeah, because that's the biggest thing, especially for people that want to consume video and stuff. Those videos, especially 3D, they are big. And wouldn't it be amazing to have like a terabyte space and just be able to have whatever you want on there and not think, fuck, man, I only got 50 gigs. But anyway, this is all, I'm bitching about shit that as it is, there's nothing I can do about it. So I'll just accept it.
Well, you don't have to accept it because you don't have a Quest.
Yeah, I don't have a Quest yet, so I might have had a Quest.
And I do have a Quest, and I haven't had any kind of memory issues yet. I'll let you know the day that it becomes a problem, and I have to start start deleting things to put other things on. But it hasn't happened yet, and we're almost a year in.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
That's pretty good. All right, so let's move on, Roots. Let's talk about Oculus Quest a little bit more. Let's talk about Ghost Giant. We just did on our last Monday show episode, we talked about the games coming up in February and there was nearly nothing. But we said it, the games are going to come. There's always surprise announcements. And here we are just a few days later, and we have learned that Zoink Games is going to be releasing their Oculus Quest version of Ghost Giant on February 20th. And Roots, this is another one from PSVR that I really enjoyed. It was a good story, even though a little bit of a drag, you know, some adult themes in here, which you wouldn't think by looking at the aesthetic of the game. But really the whole attraction of this game is the exploration. There are these cool looking little worlds that look like they've been made up out of like craft materials like cardboard and different things. And they put you in these diorama like scenes where there's just all kinds of life going on around you. There are people living in these towns. You can peek through the little windows and really manipulate the play space a whole lot. And it was a really enjoyable experience and kind of perfect, I think, for the Oculus Quest.
I agree. You know, one of the things that when I played it on PlayStation VR, I wished it was PC. There were certain aspects of it that just didn't. I wanted it to be on a different platform, and I think the Quest is perfect platform, especially being able to walk around and stuff and messing with the environment. And you nailed it on this one. There's just so much to interact with. I think this is a good one for Quest.
Yeah, anybody who liked The Curious Tale of the Stolen Pets is absolutely going to love this because it's kind of the same kind of gameplay, but on a much larger level. The story's much more detailed and instead of broken up, like the Stolen Pets was kind of a collection of stories, where this is like one long narrative. What did it take, like 3 to 5 hours to play through this thing?
Yeah, and it was a good story, and it really did have a heartfelt adult storyline, and made you feel for the character. So you got to scare him because you're a giant and you're a ghost. So at least in the beginning.
Yeah, and it had that same kind of interactivity that Curious Tale has, only the world's way bigger, way more detailed, right? A lot more going on here.
Yeah, it's definitely a larger scope game for sure. But I enjoyed it for sure.
Yeah, and not only like, it's not just the environments you can interact with, you can actually interact with the characters as well. Not so much as they can't see you. The only character that can see you is Lewis, your friend. You're his ghost giant buddy. But all the other characters that are going about their business in this world, you can poke them and mess with them. The kind of stuff that Roots likes to do.
Yeah, I like to mess with people. Or at least characters. So.
Right. But anyway, yeah, this one's coming on February 20th, just, 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks from now. And, you know, I never thought, you know, when I got through this thing, I thought I was done with it. Basically, because I did everything there is to do. I found all of the little objects, got all of the achievements, absolutely played it through. I didn't think I would really want to go back into it. But much like with Saints and Sinners, I'm really curious about how this is going to turn out on Oculus Quest. And, you know, I'm not going to go out and drop the $30 to pick up another copy. I certainly would be open to revising my review of it if the wonderful people at Thunderful would be kind enough to shoot us another key.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I agree. I think it's going to be really good on the Quest. I mean, it's simple enough, but, you know, artistic enough to look amazing. So,
you know, what I really like, what I think is going to be cool about having the Quest, you know, these dioramas that they've created, they're layered. So it's like layers of cardboard sticking up, you know, and it's very deep. Like it goes a long way out there, but on the PlayStation, you can't really explore what's back there. Like if you get up, you hit a boundary. I'm kind of thinking now that you're on Quest and you have complete freedom of movement, we might be able to move back through the environments and really get a different vantage point than we have before.
Yeah, I think it's possible. You could also run into some weird wall. It'll be interesting to find out, right? Sometimes developers they account for that or don't account for that, and It just gets all weird when you try to walk around. So
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it would get very weird. It would probably be sickness inducing if they really put a hard lock on it.
yeah, so they probably won't. That looks cool.
But really, my only issue with it, my really only big issue I had with it on PlayStation VR was the controller tracking. It seemed like if you got like the tracking area for this game seems smaller than other PSVR games. And they tell you when you start it up on PlayStation VR to be sure to bring your camera low, put it under your television, which is complete opposite of what other games tell you. The other games tell you to get your camera as high as possible, but when Ghost Giant starts, it tells you to get your camera close, and you find out quickly why. If you don't do what they say, the tracking is really not all that great on it. And even when you put it where they want it, your tracking area is very limited. You'll reach out, and your controller will just stop moving at a point, even though you're stretching forward, it stops right here. I kind of feel like having it on Quest, that problem, again, my only real problem I had with it, that's going to disappear.
Yeah, now that you're talking about it, I do remember how fucked up that felt. Like you'd go to move and it would just, like you said, stop, and you'd have to adjust to try to grab stuff and move. And it's probably why I was saying that I had wanted to play this on PC, right? So
most likely. Yeah, it was really obvious too when you were trying to shoot like the basketball, and some of those basketball goals were really high, but you try to shoot it and follow through, and your controller would just stop, and it would totally screw your shot up.
Yeah, I'm not all for that. It's not good.
Anyway, I'm glad this is coming to Quest. I really hope I get a chance to check it out, and if I do, I'll be sure to let you all know what I think straight away. Rich, you think it's odd that this is coming to Oculus Quest and isn't being released on Oculus Rift at the same time?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, I don't know. I'd love to play it on the Rift as well, but usually they're both the same, so that is a little weird.
Yeah, because I know that this was a PlayStation VR exclusive, or at least we thought. So you'd think if exclusivity is up, they're coming into the Quest. Oculus makes it very easy for developers to bring Quest games into Rift. Like, it's a super quick and easy process. So it kind of has me wondering if there's another reason behind it. Like, maybe they're coming to Rift and they're not going to support cross-buy. That would be a good reason to have it on Quest first. So you can go ahead and get people to buy it up on Quest and then bring it to Rift. And if they want it on Rift, they have to buy it again. Really, that's the only reason I could think of that they wouldn't bring this to Rift.
Yeah, there's not really too many reasons. You want it on every platform you can get it on, so.
Right. Maximize profit potential. I don't think there's any question that this is going to come to Rift. The question is, why isn't it launching concurrently?
Yeah. Question is why play it on the Rift. I want to play it on the Rift.
Because that's all I got, bro. Yeah. That's all I got's my Rift, bro. Or maybe, there is another reason, possibly, from my layman perspective. I don't know how these games are put together technically, but I would imagine if you're going to bring it on the Rift, you would have to account for the old Rift as well, which has a different tracking system than the Oculus Quest. So maybe that's why. Maybe they need a little more time to develop for the constellation tracking of the CV1.
Yes, I don't know much about that either, as far as how that works.
Yeah, just a stab. Anyway, Ghost Giant, an awesome game. Highly recommend it to anyone who has an Oculus Quest. That said, time will tell how well it ports. All right, Roots, what else do we have here? Oh, the Room VR. This was a game that was announced during E3. It's a VR version. Well, I shouldn't say a VR version because it's a completely built from the ground up for VR game. It's a part of a popular series, or at least everything I read says it's a popular series of puzzle games. The Room VR, A Dark Matter by Fireproof Games, and was first announced during Oculus Connect, OC6. So now we have a Steam page for this game, Roots. Even though it's coming out supposedly on every platform, including PSVR, we now have a Steam page saying that we are going to get this game spring 2020. So not too much longer to wait on this one, Roots. And I, for one, have always thought that this game looks really cool.
Yeah, I like the 1908 era, like that. I just like to see different times in VR, and I want to see what this one looks like. And it looks like it's a pretty intricate puzzle game. That's one of the things that drives me crazy about the puzzles, and everybody loves puzzle games, and I like well done puzzle games. And there's just a lot of puzzle games out there that are just a bunch of shit thrown in there to just be, they're just not that good at puzzles, Wes. And so I like well done puzzle games, and this one looks like it so far anyway, from the little we've seen.
Yeah, well, every article that I've read on The Room as a franchise has made it a point to point out that this is a highly regarded series. Like these are puzzlers that people really enjoy and really regard highly. So I guess to those people like Scion, for example, would probably be pretty excited about a game like this.
Yeah, especially he was saying that some of these games were too easy, like saying, I did that in like a day, which it is pretty easy. It's just monotonous to me. But this one looks like a good one, and I don't know. I just like stories in there as well, and this looks like a good mystery, maybe a detective. I don't know exactly. I mean, you got a good glove going across there, so I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, like, some of the things that they're doing in different trailers, but at least they're showing the hands, and that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, those are some nice looking hands, bro.
Yeah.
Totally detective-y gloves.
Yeah, those are detective gloves, right? So.
So this is story driven. The Room VR, A Dark Matter is set during 1908 in the British Institute of Archaeology of London. The disappearance of an esteemed Egyptologist has prompted a police investigation into the unknown. Now, you have to explore cryptic locations, examine fantastic gadgets, and uncover an otherworldly discovery which blurs the line between reality and illusion. So a lot of things there that check off a lot of boxes in my personal opinion. They're talking about archaeology, they're talking about Egyptology, and cryptic locations and otherworldly discoveries that blur the line between reality and illusion. Seems like there may be some supernatural stuff at play here, Roots.
Kind of sounds like Indiana Jones, like archaeology. I mean, everything you just described is exactly what the premise of an Indiana Jones movie is. But that definitely sounds very intriguing, and I don't know. Hopefully it'll be as good as I think it will be. But like you said, everybody that knows the series is raving about it. So we'll see.
But not just that, but I mean, looking at this trailer, like the production level of it looks outstanding, doesn't it?
Yeah. Hopefully we get to go get in some catacombs and go explore as well, right? I mean, if we're an archaeologist.
It's called The Room. So I imagine we're going to be confined to the room.
No, I want to get out of the room, Wes. I guess that's probably the point, right? Get out of this room. But
yeah, it may be. It may be an escape the room.
Yeah.
It is the room,
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't expect. I mean, there may be some cinema sequences that take place in other locations, but I imagine we're going to be stuck in the room, or at least the building, trying to put together the mystery. Trying to solve the mystery, and they're going to be smaller puzzles, which give you pieces to the bigger narrative. And I imagine we'll be going through the evidence locker, pulling out different items, playing with them, and something from the last puzzle is going to lead us to a piece of this puzzle, that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, it looks like a lot of rooms to me, but they could just be showing. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I just don't know.
Well,
I agree.
That's what I'm saying. I think we're going to get outside the room, but I don't think we're going to get outside the building. Like, we're going to go to the evidence locker. We're going to go to the office, you know, stuff like that.
Okay. Cool.
This is what I think. You know, you know, it's all speculation.
We'll know soon enough, right? Yeah.
Right. All right. So I guess we should move on to Groundhog Day, because Groundhog Day was just this last week, Roots, and to celebrate this, Groundhog Day, like father, like son, is getting an official, permanent price drop. So now you'll be able to pick it up for half of the original price. And Roots, this isn't a very old game, so for them to slice the price in half is a fairly dramatic move, isn't it?
It is, but it's not. I mean, if you go back to when it dropped, we said it was a good game, but it was too expensive. Or, you know, $30 is, you know, it's $10 cheaper than Saints and Sinners. It's just not a Saints and Sinners level game. It's not a Asgard's Wrath game. It's a $15 game, and at that price, I think it sells well. I almost wish it would have came out at that price to begin with, but I guess they wouldn't have the room to drop down. But I guarantee people would have, you know, bought it a lot more. So hopefully they'll still do well. You know, I like it.
Yeah,
it's a good game. I've enjoyed it. So
yeah, it was a good narrative, and it was a good. You know, a lot of people like to debate whether or not stuff like this is a game. This absolutely is a game. It's a puzzler, but it's a time puzzler. So, like, it's a narrative-based puzzler. So your choices in the story determines whether or not you can move on. You can't go on until you get the right choices. So it's kind of like a trial and error puzzler where you're reliving the day over and over and over again. But world-class, you know, voice acting in it, and a really good story here. It was a quality title, and I can remember when we talked about it when it released. The entire debate back then was, is it worth $30? It wasn't is this a good or is it not good? We agreed it was good. The whole thing was, is it worth $30? And now, I mean, there's no debate. It's absolutely worth 15, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a good price drop. And like I said, hopefully they didn't miss a lot of the, you know, there's that window where a lot of people will just say, yeah, I'm just not going to get that game. And then the price drops and they just still, I'm still not getting it. But you know, there's hope. So I think people will pick it up just because, like I said, I think it's a good game. It's definitely worth $15. And if it's not worth $15 for you, just wait for a sale. Now it's got to drop even cheaper. It'll be like $10 probably, right?
Well, I mean, you don't even have to do that. I mean, you get 2 hours in it in your refund window. So you're going to know pretty quickly whether or not you like this game. If you play this game for an hour and you're not liking it, then you're not going to like it, because, I mean, you can tell quickly what this is. So yeah, I think it's worth a shot. I mean, that's the only reason I put it on here. There's not a whole lot to say about the game itself that we haven't already said, but I feel like, you know, the price being permanently cut in half is noteworthy, because this is a high quality narrative driven title.
Yeah.
So,
and like you said, it hasn't been out that long. So that tells a tale. You know, either the games that are coming out are that much better now, to where this one's not worth what it was, or it wasn't worth what they charged to begin with. So,
right. And not only that, if you were a fan of the original Groundhog Day movie, this is an official sequel. I mean, this came to us not only from Tequila Works, but from Sony Pictures I forget what the name of the studios. It's their movie interactive movie arm. Sony Pictures owns the rights to Groundhog Day. This is an official sequel. It's just not a movie, it's a game. But I mean, it's got a full script like the movie would have, only you're able to do so much in VR that you're not able to do in a motion picture. You can literally relive the day 100 times in this game, right?
Yeah, and mess with people or change things up, or I don't know how many times I burnt that breakfast before I got it right. Those bastards, they were ungrateful, Wes, and made me pissed. So, especially the daughter, the niece or whatever, man. I tried to make her green smoothie. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this chick? Yeah.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. That bitch needs to learn some appreciation.
Yeah, she learned it once you made it for her, and once you got her the tickets, once she got her way, she was all happy. But until then, she was a real bitch, like you said. So
it's kind of realistic in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing, is like a lot of times, well, that's kind of what they showed with her, is like she had her own thing going on. Her mind was on something else, and so she was acting out, and nobody really knew, and you just got to take the time with the teenager to find out, right? So
yeah. And by the way, totally surprising, there's some real adult humor in this, isn't there?
Yeah, no, my favorite part was when I went to the park and I got to give the speech or whatever, and you get to just roast everybody, man. You can just say the most messed up stuff, and everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that, and like you just get everybody really all pissed off. And or you can tell Ned that he's basically, you don't like him when he sits down with you, and he gets all kind of sad and gets up and leaves. And it's pretty cool. It's different, you actually feel like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But don't worry, you can come back the next day and do it all over again, and you can be nice to Ned, and he's happy, and then he bugs the hell out of you, and you wish you would have told him to get the hell out of there. So that was my...
Yeah, that's really the cool thing about it, is the variability that they give you. There's a lot of different directions you can go. You'd think with it being node based the way it is, and so heavily narrative driven, that it would be more linear than it is, but it's really not. You can go in any direction with the story. It is story driven, so you kind of have to make the story turn in order to go in a different direction. But you absolutely can. You can be a complete dickhead, or you can be a saint.
Especially,
I'll say this.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I
go
was
ahead.
just gonna say, the girlfriend, whenever she calls, man, the things that, because no matter what you say, she's pissed, and so you just starts getting really sarcastic with her, and I don't know, I had enjoyed it. So
yeah, I just started, after a few times, I just started blowing her off immediately. Just like, I'm going to try to hook up with my ex, because your ex is in town with you right there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, they're both kind of being bitches, but I think the ex kind of has a good reason for it, right?
Yeah, she's got a lot of hardships in life, and you kind of, she's got something going on with her dad, and you've kind of were a dick to her in the past. So.
Yeah, right. So you kind of get it with her.
Yeah, yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've played Saints and Sinners and you really enjoy the branching narrative aspect of it, this game is kind of built around that. You don't have all the other stuff that Saints and Sinners gives you, but the narrative aspects of the game are fairly similar, actually, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. It's one of unique games that actually changes with what decisions you make. So,
yeah, one of a few. Defector tried to do it, but it really didn't succeed. And don't get me wrong, Defector's a great game. It really is. But the thing they were trying to do with the branching narrative, I mean, it really was just kind of an exercise that all ended up in the same place anyway, right?
Yeah, that really weren't that many decisions, and when you did make a different one, it, like you said, it just led to the same place. So
right. I mean, there were some minor changes, but nothing consequential. Anyway, I just wanted to bring it up because I feel like this game kind of got overlooked during release, because the price was so high on it, high for it at the time. And now for $15, I kind of think it absolutely deserves a second look from anyone who enjoys narrative-driven games.
Yep.
All right, Roots. So that's enough of this old business. What do you say we get down to some new games?
Yeah.
And let's talk about Ven VR Adventure. Ven is an upcoming title from Poland-based indie studio Monologic Games. And much like Astrobot Rescue Mission, in Ven VR Adventure, you're tasked with guiding little Ven on his journey to save his little buddies, all of whom have been scattered across the planet by space invaders. Roots, that premise, it sounds very, very familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds a lot like you said, like Astrobot, but I'll take it. It's funny, we were just talking about wanting a platformer game, right, in VR, or a new one, and this one just looks really cool. I know Alex was saying in Discord it looked like a mix between Crash Bandicoot and Lucky's Tale, and I agree. I think it looks really cool, and it's just another example of what we were saying last week. These are the games we have coming out, and then all of a sudden something drops that we've never heard of, and I'm psyched already for this.
Yeah, I am too. It looks great. I mean, it really does look great. As far as the premise goes, it sounds pretty much like just like Astrobot, pretty much. But you know what? Astrobot's one of the best games I've ever played. So give me 50 Astrobot clones. I'll take it all day long, right?
Yeah, especially since at least for the PC people on the Quest, we don't get to play. Well, I guess it doesn't say at the PC. Yeah, we don't get to play the Astrobot. So it gives us a little bit of a chance to do that. And I don't know, who doesn't want to rub little Ven's head and get his hair ruffled there. So it's kind of cool. You can mess with him as well, right?
Yeah, I think it's a cool trend. At the very beginning stages of VR, everyone just kind of used this conventional wisdom, like you can't do third person in VR. Everybody knows that. But, games like Moss came out, Astrobot, and Lucky's Tale, and showed, you know what, you absolutely can do third person. So now we have games like Ghost Giant coming out and Down the Rabbit Hole, and now Ven, and people are starting to take notice, and I feel like we're going to get a lot more of these games, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good median point to meet the conventional gamer. This is something that a newbie can come into VR and pick up immediately and know how to play. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's kind of like the racing games, like Blaze Rush, or any of the ones where you're from the third person. It brings people into VR, and it's like, okay, you're gonna play this game just like you've always played it, but now you're going to be in the world around you as well. And like you said, it's a great way to meet them in the middle, get them used to it, and really to wow them. Like, I don't know, man. I the more I play games like this, I feel like I've now got sucked into Crash Bandicoot, and I'm in the world, and I'm looking around, and I'm watching my guy run around and whatever. And it's just a whole different level of gaming as far as these third person games. And a lot of them I almost prefer. Like, there's part of me, even in the GTA 5 mod, you can go into the third person and you're still in the world, and it looks just like you forget that you're in the game, and then all of a sudden you realize I don't know, it's different. There's something to third person that's different than first person, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just proof positive that everything doesn't have to be a first person simulation. It's okay for a game to be a game. And, a lot of people would say, well, why does it need to be VR then? Well, put the headset on. You'll see why it needs to be in VR, because you actually get to be in these worlds. Even if you're not playing the role of the lead character, you still get to be in these worlds. And that in itself is amazing more times than not.
Right. And then you're focused also. There's something to be said about being engrossed in the whole game, instead of looking at a screen and you're still looking at your walls and distractions or whatever. You put that headset. That's there. Everybody talks about the isolation and how bad it is. I like the isolation from that perspective. Like I can get into a world of VR, into a game like I can never get on a screen because everything is shut out. I've had roommates, I've had people calling, I all sorts of shit that like I probably should be hearing that somebody's at my door or they really need me to hear, and I'm just oblivious playing away and I'm isolated and the house is on fire and Roots is like, what's that smell? No, I'm just kidding. But maybe that's not a good scenario, but yeah, it's good. It's good almost always. So
yeah, when it comes to flat gaming, people have been just stuck on what the graphics look like for so long that they've forgotten why graphics are important. The reason why graphics are so important on flat games is because it's the only way to really immerse the player in the game. The more clarity and visual fidelity a flat game has, the more immersed the player becomes into the game. But what these players, these flat players don't understand is that in VR, there's so much more, so many other ways to immerse yourself in a game. And games like this are great examples of it, because really the only difference between this and a flat version is the fact that you're in the game. And it could be the most realistic looking thing in the world or the most cartoony looking thing in the world, but the immersion level is unparalleled inside of VR as compared to the flat counterpart.
yeah, absolutely.
It makes you wonder why, when we talked about it recently, why these sports games haven't came into VR. I mean, obviously it would be great to play the sports games from a first person perspective, but until the technology gets there, it's perfectly acceptable to have like a Madden or NBA 2K, just the same structure that it would have on the screen, but only now you're in the arena, you're in the stadium. And it's kind of like the difference between watching the NBA game on television and watching it in Next VR, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, there really is no excuse. They need to get on the ball, get some of these games out there. There's definitely a draw for it. I'll take NFL Blitz, man, in VR. That would be cool in and of itself. Just something, man. Give me a way to play some sports in VR, and let's not pretend that what we got now is good enough. It's not.
Yeah, sports games, fighting games like Mortal Kombat, your Street Fighters. When we were in the Wave the other night, this last time, and we were in that trippy dome, I kept thinking, man, how cool would it be to play something like Mortal Kombat or something, or Tekken, in a dome like this where all this crazy stuff's going on or all around you. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, or even like, and I'm sure we'll get to that point because when Nintendo gets into it, but like Smash Brawl and stuff, like the craziness that goes on there, I just think it could be amazing. And then if you could incorporate to where you could zip into your character if you wanted to first person, you could. That'd be cool too. But I'd love to see a Mortal Kombat in VR. Get some of these new titles, even just the way it is, except for you're in the world and maybe you're even watching it you're watching people that are 6 foot tall. They look bigger, than the little guys, but it's still third person. I don't know. They could really do cool. So
yeah, they actually added in Labo VR support for the Super Smash Brothers, the newest one, and it's probably the best use of Labo VR that I've seen.
Yeah,
it's
because
really
you're
cool.
not zooming in or out, right? It's all in that one picture or the level. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Right. It all has that 3D layer to it, and you can look around. Some of on the newest game, I mean, the arenas are pretty big too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nintendo's going to be dropping a VR headset in the next year or two at the most. I'd be surprised if we don't see one. So
yeah, and you can bet whatever they do is going to be something different. Like, it's not going to be just a conventional VR headset. I would expect it to be something totally off the wall that we're not even thinking of, that also does VR. You know what I mean?
yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah. Me either. But back to Ven. The story here is, as an intergalactic police officer, you track the game's chief villain, Bruce Nelson, and save them from machines and deadly enemies as you maneuver around traps and other various dangers. Let me just tell you, Roots, I know a man named Bruce Nelson, and I could totally see that dude being the lead villain in a video game. He's constantly, Bruce Nelson's the type of guy who removed the middle console out of his pickup truck and replaced it with an electric cooler hardwired into his cigarette lighter, or where it used to be, so that he could keep his beer cold while he's driving.
Who doesn't do that, right? Like, I don't know. I guess you're probably not supposed to drink and drive, but that's crazy, right?
If you're Bruce Nelson, you drink and do everything.
Well, it makes me wonder if it's just the name. You know, maybe Bruce Nelson's all across the board are just evil villains. And if you're Bruce Nelson and you're in the comments, just let us know that you're not evil.
Well, I can guarantee you the Bruce Nelson I'm talking about will never see this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, if he's drinking and driving, he's probably not going to, for sure.
Oh, no, he's not worried about it. He probably don't know how to work the computer, Bruce.
It's too tough.
All right. Monologic says that although you control Ven, some obstacles are, quote, too hard to deal with without your help. Like game bosses can be even 20 times bigger than Ven, which hopefully means some novel one-on-one combat outside of the standard platforming fare. Again, Roots, sounds like Astrobot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it looks, but what's cool is it's a different looking game as well. So I don't know. I'm psyched. Like I said last week, I didn't feel like there was any platformers for PC outside of Lucky's Tale, and here we go. You know?
Right. Yeah, this looks like it's going to be a good one too. It doesn't look like it looks. I mean, only time will tell how much content there is here, how many levels, how many worlds, how long they are, how challenging they are. But I mean, this looks better than Lucky's Tale to me.
It does. Yeah, it looks like there's more. Of course, it's we've only seen a little smidge of it, but I would bet that it's going to be way better. So
yeah, it looks. Yeah, it's just a little bit of footage, but I mean, it looks tremendous. Outside of simply playing the story mode, the studio says Ven VR will also include time trial challenges for each level and many other modes comparing your performance against global leaderboards. Again, reminds me of the challenges you unlock at every level in Astrobot. It unlocks a time trial type challenge. And I never went back into those. I need to go back in and do those.
I'm surprised.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
That surprises me, man. Usually you finish almost everything as far as that goes, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I completed like the regular story mode of the game. I found every robot, all of them, and I found every iguana to unlock every challenge area twice. I did this twice.
Oh, wow.
And still never went back and checked out the challenge levels.
Well, let me ask you this. This is way off the topic, but did you collect all the babies for Trover? That would be surprising to me if you collected all of those little things.
I didn't finish the game, but up until the point where I was at, I made a pretty hard effort at it. I'll just put it that way. I looked and got everyone that I could find.
Yeah, I gave up. They're in weird split places.
I see. Anyway, Ven VR Adventure headed to Steam VR headsets, Oculus Rift, and PSVR sometime in Q2. So not very long, and that I think is outstanding. I really hope that it launches concurrently on all platforms. Hopefully PSVR is not going to have to wait until 2021 to play this game.
Yeah, kind of almost. Yeah, maybe they should have to wait. We had to wait. We're waiting for Astrobot. You got to wait for this, you bastards. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I would be.
You say that.
What's that?
you say that like you don't have a PSVR.
Oh, that's right. I do have Astrobot. I didn't have to wait. But no, I get a little spoiled. Yeah, I guess if I only had PlayStation VR, I'd be like, fuck that, man. I want this sucker out at the same time. I don't know, man. Everything that you PlayStation VR exclusive people are going through right now is going to pay off when the new PlayStation 5 drops, the new PSVR 2 drops, and then we're, you know, the PC people will be wishing they had the PlayStation. So
Nah, they'll just be like,
well,
never mind. We won't get off on that again. They won't be wishing they had a PlayStation because they could just go get one, right?
Well, yeah. Plus, you know, they'll downplay it just like they always do because it's the master race of PC. So,
right, exactly. All right, Roots. Let's talk about another game. Let's talk about Orion 13. Orion 13 is an upcoming VR title from Metro VR Studios featuring an arcade adventure with hack and slash gameplay. We've seen some hack and slash in VR, but nothing that really quite looks like this. This looks like full-on arcade gameplay, Roots.
yeah, it looks really weird. I like the style of it though, as far as like just the way the robots look and everything looks a little retro, but also I don't know, it's a different, unique art style.
Yeah, it looks like almost like you're in a giant pinball machine or something, doesn't it? It's just so colorful.
Yeah, I don't think I would have said pinball machine, but that definitely is. Now that you're saying that, it definitely could be. Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm saying. There's lots of
colors and
there's lots of lights and flashes and stuff like kind of stuff you would see if you were in a giant
pinball machine. Yeah, no, it looks very colorful. It looks very different, and you know, I'm not much of a melee person, but hopefully this will be pretty good. You know.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell. This, it seems to me like it might be a waggler. I mean, they call it a hack and slash, but there's no defense in this. I mean, the defense is an afterthought in this. The enemies get right up in your grill quickly. But again, it's arcade style, so that's to be expected. I kind of hope that the difficulty level is there and I can't just, waggle my way through it.
Yeah, see, I don't necessarily need it to be block, hit, that, like Asgard's Wrath type of stuff. But at the same time, I don't want it to be a waggle either. Somewhere in between. Nothing's worse than me than being forced to go in sequence. Like I know there's mechanics and like with Asgard's Wrath, a lot of that. But to me, everyone always bitches about immersion in all these different ways. But if I go to hit something and then I got to stop and wait and I got to block them a certain way and then I got to hit, is that not immersion breaking? Like, you know what I mean? Like at some point, everything can be immersion breaking if you let it be. So I just have a problem with the whole turn-based or I have to block this a certain way to be able to hit you, because that's not the way real life works. The real way real life works, if I have an option to hit you and I take it, I can stop you from hitting me. I might hit you and you were going to hit me and now you can't. It's just weird. I don't know. I'm getting triggered for something stupid. So.
Right. All right. Well, this is a neon-drenched sci-fi experience where you play as a robot called Orion 13 who has recently become self-aware, believing her memory implants are her own. It's set in a futuristic society consisting entirely of robots. All you want now is to go home. And naturally, there's a big bad boss character that has different ideas. Roots, do you think the big bad boss character is Bruce Nelson once again?
No, I think he's everywhere.
His ugly head.
I know it's got to be him. He's always out there, man. But yeah, he could be the big bad wolf though. But you said he's roaring around seeking whom he may devour. What did you say he was doing? The enemy?
The enemy? In this game, it didn't really say anything about what he's doing. He's trying to keep you from going home.
Oh, okay.
You're a robot who has false memory implants, but you're starting to become self-aware, and you're trying to go home.
Okay.
And the big bad in this is trying to keep you from getting there.
I wonder where home is as a robot. That's intriguing enough right there. I don't know why Bruce Nelson would try to keep me from going home either. That's rude.
Well, maybe he's trying to shake you down for some beer money.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
And that's what the Bruce Nelson I know would do.
Uh,
Anyway, in Orion 13, your main weapon is a sword which rests on your left hip. In your empty hand, you can utilize a couple of secondary items, namely a health steal and a stun. The hack and slash swordplay is basic. Enemies charge straight in and get a little too close, making defense and blocking an afterthought, like I said before. There's lots of running around, swinging your sword like a madman. So it's full locomotion. It's direct locomotion, but the weird thing about it is that it's keyed in on the direction of your play space. So it's not really gaze based. Like you don't move in the direction that you're facing, and you're not moving in the direction of your controllers. But if you press forward or up on the thumbstick, it's going to move toward the front of your play space wherever you have that oriented. So if you turn physically sideways and press up, instead of moving forward, you're going to strafe to the left or strafe to the right. It's really a weird design choice. I've never seen a game quite set up that way. And I know I watched PD play a little bit of this game, and it was really disorienting to him. He said really what it does is it forces you to stick turn. If you physically turn in this game at all, you're dicked, even a little bit. It'll throw you completely off.
It's not Mamefans game at all.
Not at all. Not at all. And it's hard to play it seated because, it's a frantic hack and slash game. Who can play this type of game sitting down? So you have to stand, but stick turn. And you have to make sure that you don't turn your body at all.
Yeah, I'm really good at sticking myself in one spot and just not moving, and using the controller, which a lot of people think is weird, but I think it's weird that it's weird because that's what we've done with every other game. Being in VR should make it no different. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I'm the same way. I stick turn most of the time. With that said, in some cases where the gameplay is frantic, I do naturally move. Like pistol whip, for example, I can't stay facing forward in that game at all, and you kind of have to because it's on a rail. I can't imagine if that game wasn't on a rail, how many times I'd get turned around because I'm all over the place when I'm playing that.
Yeah, you're right. There's certain games you like get so into it that no matter what you do, you're always facing the wrong direction, as far as which way you prefer to be facing. So
I see in this game, I see the developers, changing that. I see them updating that because people are going to get sick, dude. If you're pressing forward and moving sideways in the middle of a high intensity battle, you're going to get sick, right?
Yeah. Well, some people. I don't know if it would get me sick, but I think most people, if you're not expecting it or if you don't have your VR legs, absolutely. And it would make it hard to play. It's gonna make it hard to do shit if you're so yeah. It seems, it's such an original locomotion style. I don't see myself ever getting used to it. Obviously, I'm not going to play this game enough to get used to that. Good God. Yeah, maybe this will be your go-to game.
Yeah. We'll play it a little bit. It kind of looks like Sirento turned up to 11. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Sirento, man, the way you jumping around and flipping and bouncing off of walls and it's just crazy.
Yeah, Sirento been around a while. I need to really give Sirento another look. They've updated it so much since I went into it. I played Sirento, but I played it when I first got into VR.
Me too.
And they've done a whole lot to that game since I last went into it, and it really deserves another look.
Yeah, talk about what an amazing, fun multiplayer game too. Just chaotic.
Yeah. Oh, that I didn't even know. Is Sirento multiplayer?
Yeah, you can do multiplayer. I don't know if it's the actual campaign or not, but I know that they've got multiplayer in there as well.
The co-op?
I think it's co-op. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's 2 people. So yeah.
Yeah, man, that'd be great.
Yeah.
We should check that out.
Absolutely.
All right, so we got one more new game to talk about, Roots, and this one really, when I saw the thumbnail of it, I glanced by it, and I didn't even put it on our rundown because it just looked generic to me. Without reading about what it actually was or watching any footage, I was like, Tetris clone, next. And then I started to read about Smosh TV. And what Smosh TV is, or Smosh TV, is an upcoming asymmetrical VR game. It will allow VR players to compete in a frantic and competitive environment against up to 5 non-VR players. It says, imagine playing VR inside of a game of Tetris, except that the blocks are also being sent at you in real time by your friends. In Smosh TV, the VR player will attempt to avoid being squashed by blocks sent to crush them by the non-VR players, while also attempting to reach the top of the tower. So you're trying to climb and get to the top of the tower. That's how you win. Meanwhile, you're trying not to die from the blocks that your friends are trying to smash you with. And the cool thing about it is that it's set to music, and the rhythm plays in. Like, they can only attack you on rhythm, so you know when to look for it. There's power-ups. There's all kinds of gameplay modifiers. Roots, I think this looks very interesting.
Yeah, it looks very bizarre, and I don't understand. Like, I see the guy's little thing, and then all of a sudden he's looking around, and so it'll be unique from that perspective. Kind of like I was telling you, it reminds me of Tetris 99 a little bit, except for not as many people, and obviously they're all playing at the same time. So I don't know. So is it only for local, or do you know if it's online as well? 'Cause that would be cool if you could play, just random people could play against you as well.
It says Smosh TV supports Steam's remote play anywhere feature, meaning you can join up to play the game online as well with your friends.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I don't know, man. That's it's cool to do couch co-op, but I believe the wave of the future for this type of game is including people online as well. And then, just PC, or you're going to have people joining in that don't have VR, and they can just go and try to kill the VR people. I like it. So.
Yeah, me too. It's one of those games you look at and you say, oh, they got to put this on PlayStation. They got to put this on PlayStation, right? Because PlayStation lends itself to this type of gameplay. There's already this, online infrastructure that's built around, this, online multiplayer. And not only that, you've already got multiple controllers, and multiple players can play locally, in the room with you. I was literally going to look up the email address for these devs to ask them about PlayStation VR support, and then I saw a thumbnail, like an advertisement, and I saw the PSVR logo on there.
Oh, okay.
So apparently it's coming to PSVR as well.
Yeah. So, and then you, what did they say when you asked them for a key? No, just kidding.
They said message sent.
They said, oh,
and
so they haven't responded yet. Oh, nice.
Well, no, I just did it earlier today, so hopefully we'll hear from them soon, because I really am interested in this. What it looks like, Roots, is it looks like the object is to climb to the top of the screen, and you're going to be using the blocks that they're sending at you to climb. So if there's a gap or something you need to cross, you kind of need to bait players into trying to attack you there. They're going to have to do it on beat. You make them miss, then you use that block to climb up to the next platform.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a strategy / puzzle game / rhythm game / multiplayer versus game.
Yeah, it's definitely different. So,
well, that's what we ask for all the time, right? Give us something different.
Yeah.
Something that we haven't seen before. And I feel like we certainly haven't seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
All right. They say the game isn't easy and has a significant learning curve when you consider all the different levels, songs, and power-ups. That's something that I'd like to know a little bit more about. How do the power-ups work in this? You can see them on the screen there. What do those things do?
Yeah. And what songs are going to be on here, right?
Oh, he's got a gun. He's shooting the blocks.
Yeah, they've got he's doing all sorts of stuff. So I don't know exactly what, and if you can teleport or what the deal is. Oh, he just got crushed. Bummer.
Yeah, that is a bummer. But God rest his soul.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think this thing looks cool. I have asked or requested review access to it. We'll see how it goes. February 27th, early access on Steam Roots. We said it Monday. We said it at the top of the show. The February games are going to be here. We just don't know about them yet, right?
Yeah, it's 2 more, right?
Yeah, in 3 days. In 3 days, we've had 2 fairly significant games being announced.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure by this time next week there'll be 1 or 2 more, right?
I was just about to say I want 2 more. Minimum.
All right. Minimum 2.
Yeah.
The gauntlet has been thrown down developers.
That's right.
Or publishers, I guess we should talk to at this point. Publishers, tell us, what you got for us? It's February's wide open, man.
Yeah, we want something good.
It's ripe for the taking. Population 1, where you at?
Yeah, where the hell is Population 1? What the hell?
I know, right? Population 1, we could be getting, what is that? That stealth game coming from Oculus. We don't know when that one's coming yet, do we?
Covert Ops or whatever?
Yeah, Covert. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, Smosh TV looks cool. It looks certainly original. I want to check it out. It's got this cool retro vibe to the look of it. I've always had a soft spot for these kind of neon games. A lot of them I'll give a shot just based on that alone, just because I think it looks so cool in VR.
Yeah, that's party mode. It's supposed to be neon party lights.
Right.
So.
All right. Anyway, that's about going to wrap us up. I do have one more thing I wanted to mention here. We did talk about Ironlights VR not long ago on our channel. We mentioned that they had started a Kickstarter campaign to try to raise $15,000 just as kind of a finishing fund. They want to really have a really polished, high quality game when they launch it soon. And I'm glad to report, Roots, thanks to the publicity of Virtual Strangers, they have crushed their Kickstarter goal and now sit at 17,000 US dollars with a week to go. So first of all, congratulations to Mr. McNeil on the successful campaign, right?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? That's awesome. Yeah, actually, I just saw today Zim was playing this game with his wife, and I thought that was pretty cool as well. So,
yeah. So for those of you who didn't catch our initial piece on this, this is a versus melee game, but it's not straight melee. It's kind of a turn-based strategy game / melee game where you take turns attacking and defending. You have all sorts of different weapons and armor and abilities, I guess I should say. Something completely different than anything we've seen before. And one of the really cool features about this game is you can connect 2 Oculus Quests to one another and play local co-op without having to go online. So you can play offline co-op with this. 2 quests in the same space. Roots, we've had a few different games say that they were going to do this, but I think this one might be the first one to actually pull it off.
yeah, it's going to be so big, man. As soon as you can start doing this, like with a lot of games, you go over to your friend's house, you take your quest, he's got a really big space in his basement or whatever, and you just play all these games like Dead and Buried 2 or whatever, like they kind of teased but never ended up coming out with. Yeah, man, I love this kind of stuff, and especially if you can take 2 quests and give them the ability to play together in the same space, see each other as well. That's just next level, I think.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, now Mr. McNeil, I don't know what his his first name is. I keep reading everything I see just has his first initial E. So maybe his name's just E. E. McNeil has, like I said, crushed his goal. He stands at $17,000. There's a week to go. So now we're looking at stretch goals. And namely the one we're looking at is the $25,000 mark. Get this. Should a $25,000 target be achieved, the developer says we'll let the backers decide which class should be added next. Do you want to fight with a scythe, a halberd, a whip, or something else entirely? We will listen to your ideas, assemble a list of potential classes we're confident would be a solid addition, send out a poll to the backers of the Kickstarter, and whichever one wins becomes a part of the game. So literally, if they make $25,000, he's going to let the Kickstarter backers completely mold an entire class from scratch to this game. I don't think I've ever seen that kind of power being given to a consumer, right?
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool to see what people can come up with. So hopefully they reach that 25,000 mark so we can see it. That would be cool, I think.
Yeah, dude, I want to fight with grenades and high explosives. Let's take it to the next level, Roots. I want to blow these assholes up.
Man, I like the way that I'm assuming you come in and you're on those platforms and you're like just seeing the other person come from away, come across and stuff. I was telling you when I saw this, it made me think of Tron and just like coming out on those platforms and just what you could do. I don't know. Everything comes back to Tron. I think Anthony implanted that in my head a year ago. So
yeah, what are we going to do when we actually get the Tron VR game? Then what are we going to have?
Then we'll say we wish it looked like something else.
Yeah. Right. Like, well, I really wish this was like a Ironlights.
Yeah,
man.
it could be. Yeah, but that's just society, man. Sometimes you wonder. It's like nothing's ever good enough.
Right. Yeah, I do. I wonder that often, Roots. Anyway, to secure yourself a copy of Ironlights, it will cost you just $15, which is a 25% savings over the $20 launch price that is planned for this title. Pretty good deal. There are obviously other tiers that you can buy into. There's a $60 one, Roots, that will not only get you a copy of Ironlights, but you'll get the entire library from this developer. You'll get Darknet, Tactera, Skylight, and Astraeus. So 4 games for $60. Not too shabby, right?
Yeah, I wonder why. I've never heard of any. Are those all VR games? Or do you know?
Yeah, I've heard of Darknet, and I've heard of Astraeus. Those other 2 I haven't heard of.
Okay. It's a pretty good deal. Do they have any, what's their package for the early access to the beta or what? I always want to play the game now. So that's what I'm going to look at.
I didn't put it in my notes this week, but if I remember correctly, I think it's $30.
Okay. That's not too bad.
No, and even if you don't want to go the $30, this is a spring release, so you're just going to have to wait a few months and you'll have this game anyway.
Yeah, we got so much stuff coming out. It'll be a good wait, right?
Yeah, I know. We touched on it at the top. Time just going like that, son. So I'm sure this game will be out before you know it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ironlights, 1 week left on the Kickstarter. So if you're interested in this, it's coming to all major VR platforms. PSVR. I'm not sure if it's coming to PSVR. Let me check this right quick. Oculus Quest, Rift, and Steam VR. So no PSVR here, only the others. But if you have one of those headsets and you'd like a copy, you have a week left to get in on the Kickstarter. And if you have any other questions about this game, after we covered it the last time and we announced the Kickstarter, the developer, E. McNeil, actually joined our Discord and made himself available for questions. So if you have any questions about this game, just go down to our description below, click our Discord invitation, and when you join our Discord, his name's E. McNeil. you'll see him on there. Just send him a message or tag him, you know, in the VR game channel of our Discord, and ask away, and he'll be glad to answer. How cool is that, Roots? The guy just shows up after we talk about his game, is like, I'll take any questions anybody has.
Yeah, that's really cool. There's actually a lot of really cool developers out there that do exactly that. They'll come by and they'll make themselves available, and they don't have to, but I think it's cool.
Yeah, we've met quite a few cool ones, and you know, it's nice because, you know, we're not just here to. It isn't our goal just to help the consumer and the gamer. We're here to help the devs too. I mean, that we're just as much about promoting these games as we are to help the consumers. So, you know, I think it's great to see that kind of recognition and reciprocity coming from a select handful of developers. You know, now that I think about it, the good of majority of developers that I've dealt with have been just completely awesome. So,
yeah.
Anyway, with that said, I guess that's going to wrap us up here. What'd you think? If you liked the show, be sure to give us a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification bell to stay up with all of our videos here on the Virtual Strangers channel. With that said, friends, we'd like to thank you for watching. And for Roots, I'm Wes. We'll see you tomorrow, friends. Bye-bye.
Take it easy.